dedication issue.
Yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the City Commission meeting. I'm your mayor, Chris Villa, and I call this meeting to order. This is the City Commission meeting of May 14th, 2024. I'm going to ask Mrs. Manning to call the roll.
Commissioner Penny, Commissioner Curry, Commissioner Danio,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Villa.
Here. And at this time, we have two commissioners out today from longstanding planned commitments. I'll entertain a motion to excuse both commissioners.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second to yes, sir.
You do what you want, but these are not medical absences. These are vacation absences, and I didn't think you typically approved for vacations.
We don't, but I thought that they were on their calendar from quite a while ago, so.
You're the mayor. I don't
right.
need to remind you that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Forte. All right, at this time, I'll open up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this motion? Seeing none, I will close public participation. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we'll continue on, and I will ask you all to please stand for the invocation led by Commissioner Danio, and continue standing afterwards for Pledge of Allegiance.
The great theologian Michael J. Fox once said, "Family is not an important thing, it's everything." Statistics show that 73% of the U.S. adults, basically 3 out of 4, claim that spending time with the family is the most important thing, one of the most important, if not the most important thing in their lives. And yet, we spend an average of 37 minutes a day together as a family. Not a whole lot. Anyway, tomorrow marks the 30th anniversary of the International Family Day. It was created and celebrated to promote the importance of well-being and well-balanced and healthy families. And folks, the way it is right now, overseas and in our country, I think an extra hug and some extra time tomorrow would be just what we need, huh? Something to think about. Let's pray. Lord, we know that you are ultimately in charge. But God, it's nice to have some certain days and celebrations to kind of remind us, keep things in check, maybe keep our priorities, and remind us of the values that you put in your word. And God, help us to just live like that, to stop chasing those things that seem to always outrun us, and be content with things that you put in our lives, like especially our families. So God, be with us tonight, and be with those that are hurting, and help us to have a good meeting. We pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Thank you, Commissioner Danio.
That's your nugget.
Yeah, you always come at us with some good knowledge beforehand, so we appreciate that. We're going to move to our public comments. This is the item on the agenda where the public can come up and speak about anything not on our agenda tonight. And I'll remind you, if there's something on the agenda that you would like to discuss, you can come up during that time. But right now, this is about anything not on our regular agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission tonight? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. Yep. And you'll have 5 minutes, and you can address the commission about whatever you'd like. Just start by stating your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Villa. My name is Edith Gadsden. I'm born and raised Holly Hill. I attended the last meeting last year. I've since then communicated with Mayor. He's communicated back to me. And I want to come back and speak on behalf of 3 things in particular. Drainage on Jericho Street, and I understand it's throughout Holly Hill. The sidewalk, which you all, thank you, have already started repairing. I appreciate it. And then there was the issue of speeding on the street. I want to come at you. Thank you. Is it Danio?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Danio, for about the family and the getting together. I wanted to come from a word. And it talks about 3 kings in the Bible, in 3rd Kings. And they were going to war, and they ran out of water in the desert. And there was a prophet among them, Elijah. And the word from God was, dig ditches. So in a desert, no water, no rain, no wind, the word from the man of God was to dig ditches. And that's what they did. When I reached out, one of the responses I got regarding the drainage, I got a history of Jericho Street, established in 1924, on and on and on. There was a drainage problem then, there's a drainage problem now. I'm here to dig a ditch. After 100 years, I'm like, we got to do something. We got to do something. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you all have the answer, but you got to do something. Dig a ditch. I tell my grandchildren, if you are the smartest person in your circle of friends, enlarge your circle, because there's a problem. If you know more than anybody in your group, and I'm sure you all are connected to different sources, I don't know, but somebody has got to have an answer to some of the problems, not all. And God told me, Edith, be at peace. You're complaining because you can't go to your mailbox for 2 or 3 days when it rains. And he revealed to me, there are some people that can't go out their front door. And I'm like, Lord, thank you. So I'm not here to complain. I'm here to say thank you. And I'm here to ask you all, dig a ditch. Enlarge your circle. Somebody has an answer to something about what's going on in the city. And I wanted to say regarding the speed bumps, I was given a lot of reasons as to why not do them, and I didn't want to come to debate because I didn't agree, but I'm like, do something. Do something. Don't do nothing. 1924, and you knew that there was a problem then, nothing was set in place, fine. I get that. It was new. But it's 2024. 100 years later, dig a ditch. Seek people that may know other things that you may not have thought of. You know, one of the things I notice, and I observe a lot, is that, and thank you, Mayor Villa, because they're working on the sidewalk, but I noticed that the sidewalks are a little higher than the road, and I'm not an engineer, but just me thinking, maybe that causes the water to come down. I don't know. I don't know. The other side of Jericho Street doesn't have sidewalks, and the drainage is good. So I don't know, but it's just something to think about, because I was talking to people, like, you know, I don't remember growing up and we had to wade through water to get in the house. We had to wade through dirt because the road wasn't paved, and my mom would make us rinse our feet off because she didn't want the footprints going across the floor. You know, that I remember. But the water, and my sister's like, well, you know, sis, she said, we didn't have sidewalks. And I said, we didn't. We had dirt roads. So dig a ditch. I don't know. But that was on my heart. And it wasn't to come and complain. God told me to be grateful and to pray. So I'm praying for the leaders, praying in earnesty, you know, hearts of compassion, seeking ways. You know, I was told that ways are being thought of. I don't know what ways, but keep thinking. But then let that thought transform into an action. If you say you love me, show me you love me. Do something. Love is an action. It's not a noun. It's not a noun. So I want to thank you all for listening to me. God bless you. And seriously, I'm going to continue to pray. Born and raised Holly Hill. I love Holly Hill. And I just hope that even if you can't do what I want, just do something for the people in general. Because it's really not about me. It's not about me. Because God showed me there are other people that are a lot worse off than you, Edith. So be you ever so grateful. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gatson. And keep those prayers coming. Lord knows we need them. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And just state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay. My name is Kim Gatson. I'm a United States veteran, born
you
and
for your
raised in Holly
service.
Hill. Came back home a couple years ago. And I just have a problem with code enforcement. I work at the City of Daytona, and our code enforcement is different from you guys. There's a lot that backs up on my dad's property, and it is overgrown. The trees are as high as the ceiling here. Every time I call in, I talk to the lady down can't think of her name, but she told me that they would cut it. And I went by there today, and it's not cut. And it looks a mess. It's 361 Graham Street, and it backs up against my dad's property. And like my sister said, we love our dad. We lost our mom, so we shower our dad with love. We don't want him to go in the back, see a snake, and fall, because that's what's back there. His land is nice. He lives at 1229 Jericke, nice property. But once you get to that back fence and you see all that shrubs, it's just bad. And every time I have to ask them to please, please, please cut it. Well, I'm here to buy it. I want to buy this land. And so I don't know how to go about it. There's multiple liens against this man. And in 20 years, it's going to fall off. It's going to fall off. It's not going to have any worth. If you guys keep finding him on his liens, try another route. Dig a ditch. Try another route with this. You for real. Because I am really prepared to buy the land. But I can't buy it if he's just squeaking by paying the taxes. What a coward. And the land is just overgrown, and he never cuts it. So I just want to say that, you know, my eyes is on what's going on in Holly Hill. You know, I'm a Holly Hillian, born and raised, love Holly Hill. I think Mr. Villa played baseball with my son Mario. So I'm just saying that we don't want a lot. We just want something that's really, really bad. And for now, we're trying to get the flooding done. The flood is... Now, if you go down Jericke, let it rain one day. Go down Jericke. You jump in your car, you go down Jericke. When you get to Walker Street and you go to the other side of Jericke, no water. There's no water anywhere but on the ground. But if you come back to our side of Jericke, it's just flooded. And you can't even get out of your car. And my dad's 84, and we don't want him to trip. We don't want to lose him like that. If he falls, he's done, because he's already had one fall. So we just want you guys to just pay attention, you know, be compliant. I'm going to talk with Ms. Valerie. I'm going to get some public record requests done tomorrow and see what's going on with this guy, because I am prepared to buy that land. But he won't sell it because he's just getting by paying the taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission? Yes, sir. Mr. Legary. And 5 minutes, and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Jim Legary, 342 Burley. I'm very impressed with listening to these ladies talk about God, as opposed to Varga, who is frequently here. I want to talk about the CRA, and I'm all over the place with this, because I have been trying to think of a way that I can convince you that some of my ideas are implementable. I think we should define what it is that we want to get rid of, and I believe we've done that. We've said the motels and the junkyard. I think we should define what we want to do with this property. I think it would be, you notice how much I think, John? We should put in place something that we want, not something that somebody is going to come here and ask you for TIF money and ask you for whatever and build whatever. This is a community redevelopment thing. Most of the money that has been spent has been on businesses. Most of the businesses aren't owned by the people that live here. It would be so good to have somebody see if we couldn't go to the people in the motels, see if they would in some way cooperate with a larger development. I think the same person could speak to unions, you could speak to Home Depot, you could speak to all of these people and see if we can't enlist them in building affordable housing where the motels are. See if we can't brownfield the junkyard. See if we can't do something to as the lady says. I know from my participation here, we've been discussing the same things for 30 years. Maybe we could solve these problems. It certainly would make a remarkable difference in the community if you had a 5-story building where the motels are, with businesses on the, offices on the next floor, and condos for people who are losing their situations. I mean, there are any number of possibilities here. I've attended the CRA meetings. We determined we need to rid ourselves of the junkyards and the motels. This is an idea that I think would work if someone would pursue these ideas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Legary. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission here tonight? Yes, sir. And just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, Phil Wabi, 326 15th Street, and I'm not as great of an orator as Miss Edith here, but and
No
I
one
don't
is.
read my Bible nearly as much as she does, but I should. But I'll do my best. I had an idea about the drainage issues that plague our county, and every city and state or county vehicle that we have has dash cams in them. And if we ask our law enforcement or whoever is driving the vehicles to just hit the dash cam when they come to an area that has drainage, then that can be tabulated in an area that everybody from cities to counties can observe and see how much drainage and get weather report on those dates. It's time-stamped and GPS located. Something else that Mr. Lugari brought up was about the CRA. And I'm appreciative of the CRA. I've benefited from the CRA, and I'd like to see it expanded to help out more. And I see that we're having new businesses come in, and we're helping them with whether it's the CRA or other things, and I'm happy for that. You know, I'd love to see a climbing gym come in. I love to see new businesses come in. I'd love to see empty derelict buildings filled with new businesses. But is there anything that we can do also to incentivize some of these empty buildings to help bring them up to code, to do things that would help these businesses keep going? You know, Howard's was shut down and changed hands, and all these other restaurants and things. And, you know, is there anything that we can do to help these businesses come up to code? Maybe, you know, help with permit fees or something, you know, whether it's, you know, digging a ditch and getting around other people that have better ideas and smarter than me, but, you know, something to help the businesses that are here now to keep them going and, you know, help some of these empty buildings get filled. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wabi. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission tonight? All right. And seeing none, I'll close public comments, and just very quickly, we hear you, and we hear you, and if it was as easy as building a ditch, I'd be out there with a shovel right now. It's a little more complicated, as you know, but we are looking at it, and as we discussed, there's bigger plans for the entire city when it comes to that. So, and the other comments were spot on, and that's what we are trying to do with our CRA. Sometimes a little easier said than done, but we're trying. As Mr. Forte always says, one ring up the ladder at a time, and we keep going, and I think we've made a lot of progress so far. We're going to try to continue that. So I want to thank everyone for their input here today. With that being said, we're going to move to number 3 on our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes from the April 23rd, 2024 regular city commission meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion to approve.
You don't want to make a motion?
It's me and you, buddy.
It's just you guys tonight. So what if you don't
You
do
didn't
it?
second it, would have gone.
So with that, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the minutes? Seeing none, there's never anyone that wants to speak about the minutes in my 8 years. So that's a good thing. You do a good job over there, Mrs. Manning. So with that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move to our consent agenda tonight. Would a commissioner like to remove any item on the consent agenda?
Not me.
Okay. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless a city commissioner removes an item on the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation on the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval for consent agenda items 1 through 5.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. No discussion is required. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now, on our regular agenda, we only have one item here tonight on our regular agenda, and that is number 1, Daytona Climbing Incentive Agreement and amended escrow. Mr. Forte.
So, Mayor, after the last meeting, we made the modifications to the incentive agreement at the direction of the City Commission, which is contained in the agenda item. If you're still in support of moving forward with that, you can go ahead and approve it this time in advance of the second reading of the PD. The reason we didn't do it the first time, the last time, is because we didn't know what the PD had in it. So all the elements are in there. The $50,000 would be given if they rezoned the property, they built the 8,000 square feet as part of Phase 1, and actually, let me go ahead and open it up completely.
Yeah, and we will go ahead and take this item first, unless the city commissioner objects to that. If you'd like to speak about the PUD first.
That's what I thought we were going to do.
Did you want to speak on the PUD then?
You really don't
On the
have
public hearings?
Once this is approved, it's only applicable if the PD is approved.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Let's do it.
You can speak on both, either way.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Let's do it.
There are some links in the amended escrow agreement that need to be filled in.
Okay. Then are you pulling it up, Mr. Forte?
I am.
All right. Then, do you already know those blanks, Mr. Simpson? Do you want to go over them?
If I did, they wouldn't be blank.
I'm saying, do you want to bring them up now or wait till after?
Section 2.1, we have the date, they have to finish the project by May 30th of 2026. But the question is, well, actually, the completion of the project by blank. In the event that the buyer does not obtain the certificate of occupancy from the city by May 30th, then I release the money to the city. So do we want to put in, 2 years from today, would May 14th, May 15th? These are just blanks I didn't know how to put in.
Yeah.
That's section 2.1.
So there's 3 blanks.
And one of the things also in the 2.1 is, and I know Joe sent me, there's the buyer. Now there's a different entity that's the developer, maybe the same principles, the same, but we have a technically different legal entity. I left it that if they comply, then I release the money to the buyer. I don't know if they want to change that to a different entity or not, so they need to advise on that. Then the next blank in the next paragraph says that the certificate of occupancy is the same blank as the one above. When do we want them to be done with their building? And a copy of the certificate of occupancy must be provided to me as the escrow agent by probably that same date, so I can have compliance. So really what we're looking for, even though there's 3 blanks, it's all the same date. When will they be done? I release the money on the 30th, but what date do you want to give them to be done by? We're talking 2 years from now, so that's the only thing that needs to be put in. And like I said, whether or not they want the money released to the buyer or to this other entity that's now, I think, the developer of the site or something, or going to be
Just
the
a different
operator.
entity, same people, yeah.
So
So, Mr.
Really,
Forte,
they should come up and give you that date.
Yeah.
I don't want to insert a date if it's not realistic.
right. So, do you want to go ahead with your presentation?
That's basically it. That's
Okay.
what the agenda item is.
All right, so then, at this time, then, I would invite the applicant up to the podium. And did you catch what the attorney was saying? So first off, we got to find out if we need to change who payable to is, so if it's the same entity as the buyer, or if you need to change it to the LLC name. Do you know?
Could you list the buyer for me, just to clarify?
Who the buyer is? Yeah, hold on one second.
The buyer was 627
627.
Ridgewood LLC.
That would be correct, yeah.
So
We'd
leave
like
it
to
that
leave
way.
it as
Okay.
that. And you mentioned the 15th as the date to get.
We have a date, I think Joe set the date, I believe.
It was 2 years.
May 30th, 2026 is the day that, in the event the buyer does not obtain a certificate of occupancy from the city for the project and Exhibit B on the subject property by May 30th, 2026, the escrow agent shall release the $50,000 performance guarantee to the city. So we have that date.
Scott, pull that microphone in front
I'm
of you.
sorry. But we need, I guess that could be the completion date. Is that what you want to do as a completion date? The blank was if,
We're generally happy with.
Sometime in
what the
May?
City thinks is best, yeah.
You think it'll be
So-
done within the 2 years?
Yes, yeah.
So as I read through the agenda, I thought it was just going to be the May 30th, 2026, and that's briefly what we spoke about at the last commission meeting, so I'm okay with entering
May 30th?
that date in there, unless there's an objection by commissioner or staff, but I'm okay with that. And so with that, would you please introduce yourself, who you're representing, and the address?
I'm Garrett Zinke. I'm with Daytona Climbing Company and 627 Ridgewood LLC. I don't know if you guys want to.
Richard Price with 619 10th Street.
And I'm Matthew Smith. I'm with Economy Electric and 627 and Daytona Plumbing Company.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for what you're doing. I think it's a great project. It's going to serve the community. I had a call from someone looking to develop a different property and not a good use for the community, and they said, well, you know, I don't understand. Don't you want taxable value? I said, no, I want projects that mean something to the community, that give utility and give purpose to people, and your business is right along that. And for the people listening at home and here in the audience, it's a rock climbing facility. I don't know the elevator pitch, but as I understand it, it's a rock climbing facility that's doing very well. People come from all over to visit and to climb at your facility, and you're moving it here to the great city of Holly Hill. So I want to welcome you to that, and thank you for that vision. Is there anything you want to add before we move forward? All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I'll make it easy for you. You can sit down.
I think the reason I left it blank, Mayor, is because the first escrow agreement was set up such they had to complete by a certain date.
Right.
But I did not release the money until after the next commission meeting, after the date that they were supposed to release by, to give the commission an opportunity to address the issue before I released the money to the city.
Okay.
And that's why I left it blank. I didn't know if we wanted to do that
Change it.
or not, but in this situation, Joe brought it to y'all 2 months in advance, knowing that they weren't going to meet it, and so there wasn't that need for that extra time. So we can just put May 30th across
Okay.
the board. in
For
there.
those three. All right.
Those three blanks.
Perfect.
So, okay.
All right.
And I still have both entities signing in here, just because I don't know the relationship of the parties. I just wanted to say, look, anybody has anything to do with that property needs to sign off on it, but I need to know who the buyer is, so that's where I'm going to release the money to.
Okay.
So,
Do you need that tonight from them, or?
Well, I'll fill in the blanks and we'll send it to them. So
Yeah, sign.
the motion to approve should include that the recipient of the funds will be 627 Ridgewood LLC, and then the dates inserted into the document will be May 30th, 2026.
Okay.
and I have the buyer receiving the money, which is what they want.
Okay.
I'm just saying the Rock Climbing LLC is still going to sign off as a developer, just so we have anybody who has any relationship to that property agreeing to this document.
Good. I like it that way. Are there any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Yes, ma'am. State your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi there, I'm Heidi Heller, 460 Ridgewood Avenue. Isn't it 627 Ridgewood LLC instead of 67? Yeah,
Did I say something?
I heard you say 67.
There's two
Right,
was
that's all-
silent.
That was it.
I thought I heard something different, too.
2 was silent, he missed it too.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Heller.
Up on that.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak about this item tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Danio. Any discussion needed? All right.
Move forward, move forward.
All right, Commissioner Johnson says move forward. So welcome to the city of Holly Hill, and we thank you for your vision and wish you all the best and success. And I want to come down and try out some rock climbing too, so I'll be a patron someday. All right, with that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries 3-0. Now we'll move to our public hearings. The first ordinance we have is ordinance 2024-0-3076 for second reading. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2024-0-3076 by title only for second and final reading. Ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the land development regulations by rezoning the parcel described in Exhibit A from CC1 Commercial Corridor District to BPUD Business Plan Unit Development, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. Mr. Walker.
Yes, Mayor Commission, this is for a proposed rock climbing facility at 627 Ridgewood Avenue. It went to first reading and received unanimous recommendation and approval, and staff continues to recommend the project.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. And are there any questions for staff? Did you have anything?
No, I just didn't know if we were doing the
Okay.
one way or the other.
Seeing no questions, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this here tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second?
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Johnson, a second.
No.
Oh, other way around, a motion for approval from Commissioner Danio, and a second from Commissioner Johnson.
Correct.
Any discussion needed? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Now you can officially leave.
Move forward.
All right.
Move forward.
Number 2 is ordinance 2024-0-3077 for second reading. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2024-0-3077 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending Chapter 2 Administration, Section 2-30, Salary, Health, and Life Insurance Expenses, increasing the expense allowance and honorarium for the mayor from 12,000 to 17% that of the salaries of elected constitutional officers in school board districts each fiscal year, pursuant to the salary formula in Chapter 145 Florida statutes, and for the city commissioners from 8,000 to 11.5% that of the salaries of elected constitutional officers in school board districts each fiscal year pursuant to the salary formula in Chapter 145 Florida statutes, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. Mr. Forte, do you have a presentation?
Just that the changes that were made reflect the direction that we were given from the commission at the last meeting. It contains only the increases that the city attorney just mentioned and does not include any of the dependent health insurance that was discussed.
Thank you. Okay, I have some questions on it. So I was reading through it, and I just think, this question's for you, Mr. Simpson, is I think it's too ambiguous when it comes to how that percentage is calculated, meaning I know in the title, it only mentions salaries of elected constitutional officers and school board districts each year. And then a little bit further down, it says that again, and then in the whereases, it says it is, the proposed increase is a fixed percentage of salaries of elected constitutional officers and school board districts, table 3, and then in parentheses, county commissioners. and then it stops. So when I read through our, like our Muni code, and I look at all of our, everything that's been passed by any commission, if I were to read this, would it be in bold and all of the caps, an ordinance of the City of Valley Hill?
No, it'd be section 1.
Okay, so section 1. Okay, so now moving to that, it also is ambiguous there specifically. So that's what I thought. I thought that's what I'd be reading where it says expense allowance, health insurance, and honorarium, section 2-30. So it mentions the elected constitutional officers in school board districts, but it doesn't say anywhere that it's calculated off of the county commissioner specifically. So I think that needs to be added in there, because in that table 3, there's a lot of different constitutional officers, some of them making $182,000, some of them making $50,000.
You lost me for a second.
Okay.
It says county commissioners in there, but what do you want it to say, Volusia County Commissioners?
It should say Volusia County. That was another thing I was going to bring up, but I don't see where it says county. Is it in section 2-30?
I thought you were looking at the whereas.
So in the whereas, it mentions it.
Was this
but then
constitutional officers and school board districts?
Table 3, which is the correct title for
Well,
the...
that's not actually in the section. That's not in section 2-30. It doesn't reference table 3.
Oh, you're right.
So
it should.
If that would clarify it. I remember when we were talking about it before, and Commissioner Penny came over and showed me, because there was a question about it, and he showed me the chart.
And I have the chart here.
Yeah. So we could, if you want,
But let me add into that, Mr. Simpson, that it has to be, so the table 3 is not specifically only for county commissioners. It's for all of the elected constitutional officers. So for instance, it has in here, clerk of court, property appraiser, supervisor, elections, tax collector, and those are $182,000. The county commissioners is $108,000, and then it goes to school board, and that's like $50,000 for Volusia. So I think it specifically should say under the column of county commissioners from Volusia, and specifically Volusia, by the way, too, because it doesn't say that. And I know that's not the intent at all. I know that's not the way you're going to calculate it, but for future commissions, I want it to be very specific.
I didn't draft this, so I don't have any editorial comments on it. It does need to be clear, and so I don't know what it came from and what they were referencing when they wrote this language in, and so I would have to defer to, I don't know if Joe, finance director, how that was.
I drafted it.
You drafted it?
Okay.
So
can that be changed here? Can that be changed here tonight before this is approved, or does that push it off onto the next meeting?
We could amend a section of the body.
I think what we're doing is we're clarifying. You're not changing a new subject. If anybody, what we always look for is would we make a change that somebody who read the title, if we incorporated that in the title, they would have showed up tonight, but they didn't show up because of the way the title was written. I don't think so. Because the title's pretty clear there, because it just has to address a single subject.
Right.
And this title's actually far more detailed than you really need. It could just say addressing a pay increase for the commission. This title got into much more detail than was required. So I think we can change the body of it, and it needs to be clear as to what we're talking about.
Okay.
So, you've mentioned county council, Volusia County Council.
Yep.
But are we saying that we want it to be 11.5% of whatever the Volusia County Council actually is paid? Or are we tying it to that chart? Because it doesn't Volusia County get paid a percentage
chart. So the state
chart?
calculates what each county commissioner should make. And then so this would be calculated right off of what they say a county commissioner should make.
But they don't say how much Volusia County should make. They say county commissioners across the state should make X.
That's up to the county of how much, and that's going to be, that can be a changing figure with the county. So
Yes.
now if they take 50 to 60% of that, now in a few years, they could go to 100%,
Right.
and then that would drastically change it here. So
But when
this
you say
way,
it's going to drastically change it here, is the intent to do 11.5% of what Volusia County Council get paid, or 11.5% of what the state says county commissioners should be paid?
Correct. The
Would-
state,
well, it-
the state
State,
calculates.
so if Volusia County changes their percentage of how
It
much they
doesn't
take,
matter.
it does not impact us at all?
Right.
Okay.
And that's why, because it was
They
talked
could.
about from another commissioner that maybe it should be off of what they, but I don't think so, just because that can change, and then it would change here.
I'm gonna come over and get that chart.
Yeah. Do you want me to email it to you? I have it right here.
You have it. Oh, you don't have a
You want to
piece
just
of paper?
take it, or?
No, just go ahead and email it to me, so I
Okay.
can look at it.
Actually, do you have the agenda right there?
I do, yes.
It
Is it in
is-
the agenda? Okay.
Yeah, it's the A.
All right.
It's the,
Should we be putting parameters on these, on this in case?
what, speaking of the mic, what'd you say?
Yeah, I'm saying, should we be, Scott, should we be putting like high-end parameters on this?
Well,
No, that's
so
the
the
different.
way that the state calculates it is they have a whole formula, and they take into account this particular formula. They take into account all of the statewide employees, what their percentage increase is, but then they also take a look at what, inflation and, base it on CPI.
So what chart are we looking at?
So over time, it moves up. So the problem we had here in 2001 is that it was set in stone at $12,000, and $12,000 in 2001, heck of a lot different than in 2024, right? And there's no commission. You're going out, I'm going out,
I'm going out.
you're going out,
By
so,
county.
no commission ever.
Okay, so it needs to
wanted
be-
give yourself
Going
a
out.
raise ever, and so,
All right.
you know.
Right, no, it's a good
effective
time
after we're
to
gone.
adjust it for the future. I just don't want to put us like at 10 years down the road, all of a sudden
It would
it's-
never go up unless you tied it to something else, like if you tied it to the actual county, what they make, so, because they can change that. So right now, they make 50%.
This should say, of this chart, Table 3, Volusia County, because each county has a different dollar amount.
Right.
Volusia County Commissioners.
Yep.
Volusia County Commissioners, what you want to base it on, not
Correct.
school superintendent, not school
Right.
board members.
Correct.
Volusia County
That was the
Commissioner.
intent of the whole commission, yeah.
Numbers are on up there.
Okay.
So do you want to modify it tonight, or you want to bring it back?
I really don't care. It's up to you if you can change it on the fly.
We can change it, I guess, if the one question would be, you have 3 of your 5 members, 2 members absent. Are we 100% confident that the other 2 members, that's what our discussion was last meeting? I think
So
so.
this was so it passed 3-2. I voted against it, and John Penny voted against it. So, I mean, I don't think Penny Curry's opinion has changed unless you know something, Joe, but,
Then what I would probably do is say, the annual expense allowance for the city commission, except for the mayor, shall be 11.5%, for deleting stuff, delete the word "that," of the salaries of Volusia County commissioners as set by the state of Florida in Chapter 145, Florida statutes, Table 3, payable in 26 equal installments. The annual allowance for the mayor shall be 17%, and use that same language. So,
to repeat it, yeah, I see.
just to repeat it again. So, I should have written that down.
Well, if you do it, I'll type it right into here.
Okay. The annual expense allowance,
I gotta bring it up.
not yet. The annual expense allowance for the city commission, except for the mayor, shall be 11.5%. That's all we have. And we strike that and say, of the salaries of Volusia County Commissioners,
Their council.
Volusia County.
It says commissioners,
It
and
is.
they're technically supposed to be commissioners.
Okay. So take out elected constitutional officers.
Yes.
The name,
And school board districts.
the name of the table is Table 3, Salaries of Elected County Constitutional Officers and School District Officials.
We can just refer to it as, we'll put maybe as the title, because, they could change the law.
Right.
They could change how Table 3 looks.
Right.
So it may not be, it may be Table 4 or something. So of the salaries of Volusia County Commissioners as established by the state of Florida, in Chapter 145, Florida Statutes, Table 3. I guess you want to put the title of that table in? That's a big title. Don't worry about it. Table 3,
Half of it's in there already.
yeah, as amended, comma, payable in 26 equal installments. And just repeat that for the next line, except it'll be 17%. So the second line will read, the annual expense allowance for the mayor shall be 17% of the salary of Volusia County Commissioners as established by the state of Florida. Does that sound like what you want to accomplish?
Why don't you read it all together?
Okay.
One time.
You done? All right. Okay, now this is what it'll read.
You might want to read it to yourself first.
No, I understand. I can
You weren't doing like, you were speaking this, were you? You were actually typing it, right?
Read it to yourself first.
Joe's infamous typos.
Can't get rid of this. Well, why am I getting this? Oh, here it is. I'm gonna say JD. Not bad. Okay. The annual expense allowance for the city commission, except for the mayor, shall be 11.5% of the salaries of Volusia County Commissioners as established by the state of Florida in Chapter 145 Florida Statutes, Table 3, as amended, payable in 26 equal installments. The annual expense allowance for the mayor shall be 17% of the salaries of Volusia County Commissioners as established by the state of Florida in Chapter 145 Florida Statutes, Table 3, as amended, payable in 26 equal installments. If actual expenses are less than the expense allowance, any excess funds over actual expenses shall constitute an honorarium. Any salary adjustment outlined above shall take effect on January 1st, 2025, and then on October 1st of each subsequent year.
Perfect. That's
What did you say, Mayor?
almost perfect.
Acceptable.
Okay. All right, now, with that, are there questions for staff? No? And with that, we will open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll open the floor for a motion.
Motion. Second.
State your motion.
Motion to approve as stated by the attorney, city attorney.
All right.
Very cleverly.
And did you second that, Commissioner Johnson? Okay. And so with that, any discussion needed? All right. My vote's going to stay the same as last time, as this doesn't accomplish everything that I want it to. And so therefore, I'm going to be against it. But I understand also, too, the reasons it needs to go up and the reasons why this commission needs to do it for future commissions. And you won't benefit from it. But so with that, I'll leave it there, and I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, oppose. The motion carries 2-1. All right, now we're going to move to, we have one more public hearing, and that's 782 South Young Street, Bentelli Golf Cart Special Exception. Mr. Forte.
I'm going to turn this right over to Mr. Walker.
All right. Mr. Walker, the floor is yours.
Yes, Mayor, Commission. This is the building at 782 South Young Street. It has been vacant for quite some time. A golf cart company moved in and are selling golf carts. They would like to be able to display 5 golf carts out front. However, because they are in the redevelopment overlay, they need a special exception to do so. So that's why they're here this evening, asking for a special exception to be able to display 5 golf carts. They will be in parking spaces. However, based on the type of business that they have, they only are required to have about 11 spaces. For customers, they have a total of 34 spaces out there. There's no issue at all with the parking. In order to approve what they're looking to do, Section 114-705 does have a requirement that says that automobile, recreational vehicle, and boat sales with outdoor sales and display in the redevelopment district overlay shall provide the following. And it says a 10-foot landscape buffer is provided along the front and side property lines, including 1 shade tree per 25 linear feet of buffer, 1 understory tree per 30 linear feet of buffer, and 30 shrubs per 100 linear feet of buffer, and that a cluster of palm trees can equal 1 shade tree. Well, in this case, there is an existing 10-foot landscape buffer. It does have shade trees and some shrubbery, but there are overhead power lines that don't allow for all of the canopy trees that are required. Golf carts are relatively small in size when compared to vehicles and cars. Automobiles are really what they had in mind when the buffering requirement was set. So staff does not have any objection for the buffer to be left as is. And that is a request this evening. The staff recommends a special exception approval to allow outdoor display of 5 golf carts on a parcel in the CC1 zoning district within the redevelopment overlay located on the west side of Ridgewood Avenue, also known as South Young Street. At that location, approximately 700 feet north of Calle Grand Street, and more specifically known as 782 South Young Street.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Walker. And is the applicant here tonight?
Yes.
Yes?
She is.
All right. Thank you so much. If you'd like to come up, you can. If you don't have anything to add, that's okay too. All right. Thank you. What's your name? Morgan. Morgan? All right. Thank you for being here, Morgan. All right. With that, are there any questions for staff from the commission? Seeing none, I'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this special exception tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. And I will entertain a motion for approval of the special exception.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Johnson, a second from Commissioner Danio. Just want to say thank you for coming to Holly Hill. The place looks really wonderful, especially from what it was, and we wish you the best of success here in Holly Hill. And thank you for coming forward to us to ask for this special exception. So with that, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Passes.
Have you seen the one on Nova Road and Dunn,
Nova Road and Dunn.
right across from the Toyota place? They probably got 400 golf carts on the sidewalk.
Wow. No, I haven't seen that. Been down there in a while.
Go down and look at
Happened in
that.
Holly Hill.
Wow.
Not Holly Hill though, but it's.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. With that, we'll go to communications. Mr. Forte, what do you have for us?
Just a comment that from my perspective, the dedication of the Veterans Monument was one of my more prouder moments as a city manager in this city.
Amen to that. Mr. Simpson.
No comments.
All right. Mrs. Manning? I never ask you, our assistant city manager, do you have anything for us? No, sir. All right. If you ever do, just wave me down. So that's what I was going to speak about today, Mr. Forte. I completely echo that. We've done a lot up here. This is my 8th year in office, and if you haven't seen the Veterans Memorial out front in front of City Hall, take time to go look at it. Go towards the street and look at it, and there's 15 names inscribed into stone of Holly Hill men. They're all men that served, gave their life for our country, and they're from Holly Hill. And so we thought that it would only be fitting to have their names etched into the history of City Hall forever. So it was a very meaningful dedication ceremony, unveiling ceremony, and thank you, Mr. Forte. I was going back through emails, as we talked about from 5 years ago, of you and I throwing around ideas about it and for it, and put it on our goal-setting session and funded all these years, and finally got that to come to fruition. And so I agree with you. We've done a lot of things in 8 years, but this one is really something special. Every time I drive by every single day, I take a look at it and think how beautiful it is. And, you know, the most meaningful part is the amount of people that knew these men on the stone, and the family members, the moms, the uncles, the nieces, the friends. And I've received so many phone calls, and after the memorial, I stayed the whole time to just talk to every single one of them, and they were all extremely touched and honored. And I just think that there's not enough that we can ever do as U.S. citizens to make sure that they are always honored, and that we always give thanks to them, so that way future generations can always remember it and make sure that we always defend our country, especially in this day and age that we're coming into. So I thought that was very special. So thank you so much to you and all of your staff. Val, thank you for all the research you did. I want to thank Brian. I want to thank Malia and John Cox. I want to thank Steve Yunks, who's instrumental, and Manny as well in Public Works, and so and all of our officers for being there to contribute. We really appreciate it. So with that, I did want to just ask for an update on the possible demolition of the supposed to be car wash, the old gas station on Nova and Flomish. I meant to bring it up to you yesterday and just...
Yeah, that's okay. Actually, Brian just reported to me today that he received a demolition permit request, which was granted, and we should see demolition start next week.
Thank God.
So they put in for the demolition. So that's good.
Because we were moving forward with condemnation so that the city would tear it down ourselves. And I'll just remind the commission, and whatever happens in the future, happens in the future, but there's a growing lien on that property that would be considered a second lien, and by policy, not eligible for a lien reduction. So I'll just throw that out there as a seed, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate all the hard work that you guys have done on that. I want to also thank you and Brian for addressing the issues at the vineyards, the old vineyards property that is now becoming homes over there, with the complaints from the neighbors around it. And I know you guys have been working hard to address it. I will say that I'm just, I put in a couple emails today that it just, for me, it adds insult to injury, because, as you know, I wasn't for the project, but now that it's moving forward, to see the disregard, I think, of the neighborhood and the neighbors is disgusting to me. I absolutely hate that. I just wish that they would do the right thing there. So I have to express that. It's how I feel. And but the right way to go about it is the way that you both have diplomatically talked to them, and hopefully come to a better conclusion there. So I just want to just make note of that. And with that, I think that's all that I have tonight. So we'll go to you, Mr. Danio.
Saturday was a very kind of busy day. We started out at the Sunrise Park with the fishing clinic. I had this idea that we were going to go out there and it was going to be a couple dozen kids, half dozen volunteers, and I'd be putting little shrimp on the hook, showing them how to do it. And I even texted JP, "You going to wear fishing clothes? You're going to wear?" And he's like, "No." And then Joe told me he was wearing regular clothes, and I show up and they got all these booths going on, and it was like, wow, this is pretty cool for the first annual. They had great turnout. The weather was nice because it had a little breeze, and I thought that was kind of neat. Then we went to the Copper Bottom for the John Penny school reading for whatever it's called, and that was a success. And And Deborah Snow kept following me because everywhere I went, she'd show up, but that's okay. And then we went to Pictona for the ribbon cutting at the gardens, which were great, and they fed us and all that. So, I mean, it was a full day, man. I was whooped. But that turned out real nice. Veterans Memorial, I mean, you can't say enough about it. Lisa came in for pizza on Friday, and it's a bittersweet moment when you lose your kid, but then you have something like that to honor him for the rest of, so it was like the best of the worst, sort of.
Yeah.
But was proud of that, and just that's about it. Thanks, everybody, coming.
And I think it was super great for the memorial ceremony we did, and don't forget, the end of this month, we have Memorial Day coming up. So that'd be a great event right around the memorial. Thought that'd be a good thing and all. And then I'm just so kind of wondering what would happen if nobody wanted to fill in your position when you resign. What would we do? I mean, like Jeff Delano said, sign up here just for, what if no, I'm just so thankful that some people will at least want it, I mean, we need to put out some kind of incentive out there for somebody to come and want to be into the positions. Yours is up, and John Penny's up, all three of them now. We have a candidate for John Penny's seat sitting out here now, Deborah Snow, and John Penny's already on sign up for yours, and then Jeff Delano's for yours, so that's a great thing. So I kind of worry sometimes what would happen if so many people would say, I'm not interested, and we just have a vacant spot. What do you do,
Just stranglehold them.
Huh?
Force somebody in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've probably never been through that one yet, have we?
There's been some close calls, but we've always had the seats filled.
And also, the only other thing is, no matter what anybody thinks about LPGA, we have long outgrown it, and it's not done yet, believe me. There's so many things still growing on the LPGA, all the way from 92 back to here. And then I went out LPGA today, traffic is backed up so far to Nova Road, you're not going to catch the first light going out on Nova Road. It's way overdue. But the county's still working on it, right, Joe? I heard not long ago, we was number one on the list on the project, so.
The study?
Yeah, for the study, huh? Should have done it 10 years ago. Right, Brian? Should have done it 10 years ago, huh? So we're moving forward. That's a great thing. I'm rather pleased with the way Holly Hill is going. I think that's about all the thing I have tonight.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to thank also our cop for being here.